Hello, basketball people, we have news. Let's go to more news about the Golden State Warriors. I ask you to give a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, as I am a Warriors fan. Would it be possible for the Warriors to sign star Ja Morant? Warriors owner Joe Lacob likes to make a big impact and bring in stars. The Warriors would have to offer a package including Jonathan Kuminga, Brandon Podziemski, Buddy Hield, and first-round draft picks to try and bring in Ja Morant. The Golden State Warriors are in win-now mode, as evidenced by their relatively old/experienced roster. However, the organization would be wise to craft a plan for the future, considering assets like Stephen Curry, Draymond Green, and Jimmy Butler won't be in the league forever. While a diehard Warriors fan originally floated the idea of the Dubs acquiring a disgruntled 26-year-old Memphis Grizzlies superstar for fun, Clutch Point's Julian Ojeda took some time to break down why the transaction would benefit the franchise. After a 3-for-14 shooting performance in a loss to the Los Angeles Lakers, Morant deflected post-game questions with terse responses, including "Go ask the coaching staff and probably don't play me," Ojeda wrote Thursday. In his return from suspension against the Detroit Pistons, Morant posted 18 points and 10 assists but continued to show signs of frustration. When asked about his relationship with the staff, he replied, "Yeah. They told y'all that, right?" and offered only "we'll see" when asked how he could regain his usual joy. Despite these issues, Morant's talent and marketability remain undeniable. For Golden State, Morant would represent both immediate impact and long-term insurance as Curry, now 36, continues to lead the team. As the Warriors prepare to face the Denver Nuggets, 5-2, on Friday night in another NBA Cup matchup, the fan interest in Morant underscores growing questions about the team's future beyond its current championship core. Morant is arguably the most dynamic point guard in the NBA. From completing gravity-defying layups/dunks as an explosive one-footed leaper to using his tight side-to-side handle to embarrass defenders on the perimeter, the Murray State product dazzles every time he steps on the hardwood. Unfortunately, injuries and suspensions have negatively altered Morant's career trajectory, leaving more questions about his ability to lead a franchise to the promised land than ever before. Still, the 6'2" guard is a consistent 20-plus points per game scorer who possesses the tools necessary to be a game-changer rather than a liability when healthy and out of trouble. The Warriors should keep an eye on Morant's situation in Memphis as they ponder their potential trade options this season. Warriors' Steve Kerr reacts to Al Horford's brutal showing in loss versus Kings. The Stephen Curry, Jimmy Butler, and Draymond Green-less Golden State Warriors dropped their Wednesday night matchup against the Sacramento Kings by a score of 121-116. Golden State's next generation of talents such as rookie guard Will Richard, 30 points, 7 rebounds, Moses Moody, 28 points, 4 blocks, and Jonathan Kuminga, 24 points, 9 rebounds, shined with their stars sidelined, and their 39-year-old center Al Horford was expected to act as their main source of veteran wisdom throughout the night. Unfortunately, Horford would continue his horrid beginning to the 2025-26 season on the offensive end, as he would miss each of his 7 attempts from three-point range and finish 0-for-8 from the field in 26 minutes of play, registering a -3 in the plus-minus department. Following the contest, the Warriors' legendary head coach spoke on Horford's struggles and took a glass-half-full approach to the 5-time All-Star's performance against Sacramento. "I thought I played a great basketball game tonight," Kerr told ESPN's Anthony Slater postgame. "The ball didn't go in. He took all the right shots. They all looked good. They're going to go in." He's Al Horford. After his decision to leave the Boston Celtics to join the Warriors as a free agent this past summer, Golden State believed that the 20-year veteran would become an impactful cog in their dynastic machine alongside Curry and Green on both ends of the floor. Through his first 6 appearances as a Warrior, he has posted averages of 4.5 points, 4.5 rebounds, and 1.3 assists while knocking down just 20.8% of his 4.0 three-point attempts. Despite his shooting struggles to begin the new year, Kerr realizes that Horford's track record speaks for itself with regard to his three-point efficiency. The 6'9" floor-spacing big man boasts a career 37.5% shooting clip from distance, and his excellent range was a massive part of the Celtics' 2024 NBA title run, when he secured the first championship victory of his career. Quinton Post is forcing his way into more minutes for the Warriors. This is with all due respect to Al Horford, who still provides a lot of positive things for a team. But by season's end, I would be shocked if Post isn't consistently playing 25 minutes per game, potentially overtaking Horford as the team's regular starter. In the 2 games which Post has exceeded 20 minutes played, he's posted double-figure scoring and recorded at least a steal and a block in each. His minutes, while Horford is out, will be consistent. But Post might be developing quickly enough to keep those consistent minutes even when Horford returns. If Post can regularly be the two-way force he was against the Suns, it would allow a seamless transition for Horford to be a high-level backup center. That's not a demotion as much as a shifting of roles, plus, with Horford, rightfully, prioritizing his health this year and likely to miss a fair amount of games, Post being the regular starter would allow more continuity in the starting lineup. The Warriors may have mined another gem in Post, the number 52 overall pick in last year's draft. For over a decade, the Warriors have gotten frontcourt production from unlikely sources, and Post could be the latest example of that trend. He'll get plenty of opportunity in year 2, and he's on a good track early to prove the coaching staff right for believing in him. At times, his shooting, defensive smarts, and connective ability make him look, if you squint hard enough, like a young version of his frontcourt teammate on the Warriors. Warriors fan favorite is getting iced out by Steve Kerr early in the season. What does this mean for the veteran going forward? The Golden State Warriors are off to a solid start to the season, but it has become abundantly clear that fan favorite Gary Payton too has been iced out by head coach Steve Kerr thus far. Given the veteran's struggles, it is not hard to figure out why. Payton has averaged just 2.3 points per game so far this season and has seen his minutes take a hit. He is averaging just 8.4 minutes per game, which is nearly half of what he averaged last season. It is still early and this is a small sample size because he has only played in 7 games, but things are not trending in the right direction for Payton. Steve Kerr is icing Gary Payton too out of the Warriors' rotation. He did not see any playing time at all on Tuesday night against the Phoenix Suns. Perhaps this was an intentional move by Kerr, knowing he was going to need Payton to play a decent amount on Wednesday night against the Sacramento Kings, with Stephen Curry and Jimmy Butler already ruled out from the game. But still, the fact that he hasn't been out on the floor as much this season shows that Kerr understands he may be losing a bit of his game. Payton is thought of as a defensive specialist, having endeared himself to fans with the way he plays defense and his toughness on the floor. Typically, anything he gave you on offense was seen as a bonus, but his defensive skills have declined so far this season. That may be inevitable for a 32-year-old player, but when you are one-dimensional and really only bring a lot of value on one side of the floor, naturally you are going to see your minutes dwindle if what your main skill is reduced. It doesn't help matters that his decline has coincided with the rise of rookie Will Richard. The rookie has a lot of experience after playing 4 years in college and has played beyond his years in the court time he's got this season. He has impressed with his game, so if he keeps it up, Payton may find himself hard-pressed to get playing time. Still, it's very early in the season. A rough start does not mean it's time to write Payton off completely. Perhaps all he needs is one big game to prove to Kerr he still has some gas left in the tank and can be a key contributor on Golden State's bench this season. It's not time to panic, but Payton will need to turn things around fairly soon before it is too late. Moses Moody will be a key player for the Warriors this season. To start the season, Moses Moody is averaging 10.5 points, 2.8 rebounds, and 1.3 assists in 6 games for the Golden State Warriors. However, the number 14 pick from the 2021 NBA draft has had 2 impressive outings, scoring 20 points against the Memphis Grizzlies and last night, scoring 24 points against the Phoenix Suns. When given the opportunity and put in the right position, Moody can be a reliable star for the Golden State Warriors. Given the Warriors' aging roster and star players, young stars like Moody will have to shoulder a great deal of the burden for the team during the regular season. The Warriors' hidden defensive flaw, career highs for everyone, what the numbers hide. The Warriors' defensive struggles have become a pattern. In the last few weeks, several opponents have posted either season or career highs against the Dubs, with many of them role players suddenly emerging as main scorers. For a team built on championship DNA, it's a worrying trend. The Warriors' offense remains as fluid as ever, but defensively, they make average scorers look like NBA All-Stars. Last season, the Warriors were 7th in the NBA with a defensive rating of 111.7. Yet, despite ranking as one of the best defensive teams in the league, the eye tells a different story. Miscommunication, inconsistencies, and slow bench rotations. On paper, the defense looks solid, but in practice, it remains a real issue. Similar issues are also beginning to emerge this season. The real problem. The real worry with Golden State's defensive struggles is that their problems are systemic. Too often, the Warriors overcommit to guarding star players on the opposing team, sending extra defenders and leaving the role players wide open beyond the arc. Nearly 2 weeks ago, against the Nuggets, the 3-time NBA MVP Nikola Jokic had the Dubs' full attention, allowing Gordon to score 50 points with 10 made threes from the perimeter, many of which were completely uncontested. Other times, those career nights for role players come when the star isn't even on the court. When Aaron Nesmith scored a career-high 31 points a few days ago, the Pacers' star man, 2-time All-Star Tyrese Haliburton, wasn't even playing, yet the Dubs still tasted defeat. It seems as though the Warriors are often unprepared whenever a new offensive focal point takes to the floor. Structural weaknesses. Warriors head coach Steve Kerr's defensive system has remained largely unchanged since 2015. The lack of size and athleticism in the bench unit makes it harder for Warriors players to close out on shooters or contest shots effectively, while the aging core of Draymond Green, Jimmy Butler, and Stephen Curry can't switch and rotate like they did in their prime. Kerr's system is built on teamwork and communication, but constant lineup adjustments and defensive misreads have made it harder to maintain. Unfortunately, the 2025 Warriors aren't as in tune as they were during their championship years. Can they fix it? The Warriors have the experience and veteran IQ to clean things up. With the older roster they now have, they might be a step slower when closing out on shooters along the perimeter, but they still possess the championship DNA to lock in when it matters. Golden State have enjoyed a strong start to the season with plenty of positives, but their defense continues to crack at key moments, especially on the road against teams that shouldn't be a challenge. If Kerr can continue developing his bench, strengthen player communication, and stop relying so heavily on his starters each night, the Warriors might finally see light at the end of the tunnel. Those defensive relapses giving opponents career-high performances week after week could soon become a distant memory. But until that happens, role players will look forward to the day they go up against the Warriors, knowing it might be their best chance to dominate and have one of the greatest games of their careers. In the end, the Warriors must remember that their biggest opponent might just be themselves. The Golden State Warriors have granted Jonathan Kuminga exactly what he's always wanted so far this season, with the young forward starting in all 7 games and easily averaging a career-high 30.9 minutes per game. Yet while Kuminga's role with the Warriors to start the season has been surprisingly significant, there's an argument that the 23-year-old should actually be playing more as the team looks to combat a rising problem with their bench scoring. Warriors should consider giving Jonathan Kuminga even more playing time. Golden State's bench currently ranks 25th in scoring and 23rd in net rating, something that's less than ideal given Steve Kerr likes to go deep into his rotation and is looking to manage his veteran players as much as possible across the course of the season. As much as Kuminga has developed into a core piece alongside Stephen Curry, Jimmy Butler, and Draymond Green, he's a dozen years younger than the veteran trio and therefore shouldn't have to be managed in a similar way. Butler is averaging 33.5 minutes per game, Kuminga 30.9, Curry 30.9 and Green 29.1. Those minutes are probably about right for older three, but the Warriors could certainly bump Kuminga up if they believe he warrants it. Part of the issue with Golden State's bench stems from Kuminga no longer being part of it, and therefore there's a distinct lack of shot creation and shot making. The former 7th overall pick is arguably too important to move back to the bench right now and deserves his starting role, but that doesn't mean he couldn't be incorporated into more second units. Kuminga has played all but 16 of his minutes with Stephen Curry on the floor this season, easily the most of any Warrior duo. But how about letting him play a couple of extra minutes each half without the 2x MVP and in bench units that are currently struggling to find offense? That would raise Kuminga's playing time to around 35 minutes per game, which by Golden State standards is high but not so much from a league perspective. There are currently 16 players in the NBA averaging at least 35 minutes per game, and not all of them legitimate stars. You can completely understand why the Warriors are looking to limit the minutes of their veterans, but if Kuminga is now truly and categorically one of their best 4 players, he shouldn't fall into the same basket and should be in line for a bump in playing time if his form continues.